Hi everybody, it's Coach Aaron here, reaching out to all of my Barkai students, my current students, my alumni students. First and foremost, I just wanted to say that I miss you guys so much. It's been very tough not getting to do some of the usual things we get to do together, being in the classrooms, the recess fields, lunchroom. Um, but I will say that the first few weeks of the distance learning has really been as good as it could possibly be. You guys are champs. I don't know if I could have done as a student what you guys are doing today, so I just wanted to give you props for the amazing work you've done so far. And, we'll get back at it after the holiday. Um, I wanted to just share a few thoughts before the holiday, just make sure that all of us are in the best possible frame of mind, in the best possible approach to the upcoming holiday, and to make sure that what's going on in the world today doesn't compromise what ultimately we would love to experience as we enter into the Hag HaPesach. So I wanted to start off by sharing an interesting idea. As I was preparing for the Hag and I was doing some research and going through the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim to prepare for my own Lil HaSeder, I couldn't help but really pick apart some of the parallels between where we were in Yetziat Mitzrayim to where we are today. And it's weird. It's like eerily, just funny how similar the stories are, but I just wanted to share what's been on my mind, and then we can kind of go from there. So obviously, the first most important similarity is the time period that we're in. We're in the month of Nisan, and so it seems like both experiences in world history are happening at the same time. Secondly, you think about how many times Paro had an opportunity to respond and to listen to the words of Moshe and to the word of God. And time again, he refused. He was very unprepared to deal with and to respond to what was brought upon him. And you think about where we are and where we could have been, and how many experts have come out to say that the warning signs were there, and how we ultimately failed to respond in the best manner. That was just interesting to me. And then you think about Makat Bechorot, and how there was a decree to kill the eldest of the Egyptian firstborn, and how there's an unfortunate, sad reality that the most vulnerable population that is among us are the eldest of our time. But then it got a little bit weirder for me and a little bit surreal when I was thinking about how something that I feel was always glossed over way too quickly in our history is how during Makat Bechorot you see the Egyptian firstborn vulnerable and exposed to harm, and for the Jewish people, not so much. And I always wondered, how did that manifest itself? How could it be that just this population was, vulnerable, and the exact, very similar population size, but just on the other side of the spectrum in the Jewish people, they were not harmed. And then you think about how the youngest among us, the youth, which, thank God, if there's one silver lining in this chaos that is the corona pandemic, you can't help but wonder how amazing it is that the youngest of our children, the weakest population segment of our society, exposed to the very same dangers that the virus is wreaking havoc, their symptoms are just not there like others. And so you just can't help but really take a second to recognize that the hand of God is very evident and it's very clear. And I'm not sharing this because I'm, holding that I have some form of nevuah that allows me to know what's happening and why it's happening. That would be very irresponsible of me and unfair of me to even assume such a thing. And for those of you who know me, know that I would never assume such a thing. But what it did help prompt me to do was to look back at our history book, right? To go back and to look at our first form, the original form of Nevu'ah that we ever received, which was the Torah, and to really, look back and see how did the Jewish people respond when they were going through their crisis, and is there something that we can learn from then to do for now? And I was thinking about this when I was praying today during Shacharit, when I got to Vayosha, right? When it talks about Yetziat Mitzrayim, and it says Vayad Yisrael et hayad gedolah asher asa Adonai b'Mitzrayim, right? When the Jewish people saw the hand of God, right? So what are the words there? Vayideu ha'am et Adonai vaya'aminu b'Adonai u'Moshe avdo. The Jewish people were in awe. And it's safe to say that, the world today is in awe of what is going on around us. But the next part, I think, is the most interesting, right? It says, Vaya'aminu b'Adonai u'Moshe avdo. It says that they strengthened their faith, their commitment, their devotion, and they took it upon themselves to further engage in their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so right away I have two questions that, didn't sit well with me, right? So question number one is, well, that sounds very easy, right? Considering we're in a very chaotic time period. There's all this fear and anxiety and concern. And so how do we strengthen our commitment when we're in such a crazy, turbulent time? And then the second question I have is, what do we do that we don't have a gadol like Moshe Rabbeinu to lead us during a very tumultuous time? It would be so much more comforting if we had a great leader that was Moshe Rabbeinu who can help navigate us now, but we don't have that. So, what do we do about that? So, to answer question number one, I want to turn to one of my favorite authors, to one of my favorite books, and that is Dr. Viktor Frankl, a psychotherapist who grew up during the time of the Holocaust. And in his book, he recounts his experiences then, during the Holocaust, and then post, what it was like for him after the Holocaust. And he says something that is extremely profound, that really resonated with me. He said the following. He said the Nazis tried so hard, and they were very successful, to dehumanize the Jewish people. And they took away so many things. They took away their freedom. They took away their clothing and their food, and they starved them and they beat them, and they really made them feel like they were worthless and nothing. But he says there was one thing that the Germans could not take away from him, and that was his ability to dream, his ability to think better, to think about what it might be like to reconnect with his wife and what it might be like to be free at some point in time. And I think, now is the most appropriate time to do such a thing as we enter in to the time period of Geulah, as we remember the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Now is the time for us to recognize and to appreciate just how free we are. And I know it's difficult, and I know it's tough, because there is so much that's out there that's negative, and that's just, we're hurting. There might be loved ones that are affected and compromised. There might be, just watching the news is just difficult to do sometimes. But we have to recognize and appreciate that we have the ability to dream, and we have the ability to think bigger about what life could be like and what life should be like. And I think that's what we need to start doing, right? As best as we can, and this is difficult, and I promise I'm not just trying to make it seem like it's an easy thing to do. It's very tough to tune out the negativity, but once you get to that place and you start dreaming and you start thinking about what life could be like and what life should be like, that is when we can tap into our faith and into our devotion to our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and what Geulah should be like, and how we can ultimately do our part, our hishtadlut, to get there. And then question number two, what do we do without Moshe Rabbeinu? I mean, for me, there is not a doubt in my mind. I mean, if we really go with the narrative that's out there, where people are saying we're in war, and the enemy is the virus, there is not a doubt in my mind that our Moshe Rabbeinu today are the unbelievable healthcare providers, the doctors, the nurses, everybody that goes into work to put their bodies on the line to literally expose themselves to the danger of this virus. And they are willing to do that just so that somebody else can feel a little bit more safe and a little bit more protected, and they can tend to the wounded and to the hurt among us. It's extraordinary. You can't put into words how amazing these people are. I mean, personally, just last night, my son Maurice over Shabbat was battling a fever of 105. We had no idea what was going on, and I'm not going to lie, we were a little bit nervous. My best friend in the world, Charles Manopola, came over without a hesitation. I didn't even ask him. He's like, I'm coming over. That is who these doctors are. That is who these healthcare providers are. They are going out into the danger that is the world, and they are exposing themselves and putting their bodies on the line for everybody else. And I would like to imagine that that is what Moshe Rabbeinu did and would do if we had him here today. And so the only thing that I can do is to respect and trust the process that we are in by following our leaders of today. And right now in this battle, that is our healthcare providers. Those are the doctors and the nurses and the EMT force that's out there. And we need to do our part to listen to them. They're screaming to us that we should be a little bit safer and we should stay home and we should be smart and diligent and vigilant with hygiene and cleaning ourselves. And so if I have to stay home during the holiday meals and I don't get to enjoy it with my family, with my extended family, okay. We have leaders, we have unbelievable Gedolim, Giborim who are among us, and they're telling us to do something. So we're going to respond accordingly, and we're going to play our part to get past the difficult time that we're in. And so with that said, I just wanted to wish everybody a healthy, a happy, a meaningful Chag Pesach. I miss you guys so much. I love you dearly. Cannot wait to see you guys after the Chag. And just enjoy every second, every day that you have. Don't take anything for granted. And let's embrace the month of Nisan, the Geulah that we are remembering, but the Geulah that we are also trying to experience today. Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.